Hi, Kelly. Where are you from?
I'm from Riverside County in California. The first and last time I ever spoke to you was a couple months ago, is when I asked you about what your stance was on Zionism. But anyways, I wanted to share with you, I went to Bobby Kennedy's presidential announcement in Boston. By the end of his announcement, I was really disappointed because I hated the fact that he divided us in the room. He used the media to divide us, and people in the front, because they were his bigger donors, they had signs up that said heal the divide, while dividing us in the room. So that was one of the things I was pissed off about. Comparing it to Trump, I've been to Trump rallies. At least Trump rallies were free. He didn't divide us. He actually put the media sometimes in the back of the room. He had people volunteer to stand behind him. So anyways, I was just comparing it, how at least Trump rallies were free, but Kennedy, like, I felt he was being very divisive. I didn't feel like he understood what's really going on in Ukraine. Of course, I was upset. I felt like he wasn't going to dismantle the CIA. So anyways, I just wanted to share that with you, that I was just.
Yeah, so Kelly, you're bringing up something really strong. Here's the deal. What's happened, Kelly, is you and others and many hardworking people in this country, in some ways, are so honest and kind and good that people have no idea how fucked up these people are. It's the simplest way I can say it. It's all about making money. If you look at his entire history, he runs Falcon things and donate to me, and then you get to go falconeering with me. Example, everything he's done in these nonprofits is a money-making venture. The New York Times did a complete analysis of every venture he's done, how he automatically takes a $500,000, $2 million right off the top, all of his consulting gigs, and everyone should go read it. Then what he does is, when someone in the mainstream actually exposes something real he's doing, then he attacks them. Oh, see, they're attacking me. Poor me. It's this whole martyrdom thing, Kelly. That's the thing that the Kennedys have created. They've created a brand that they're martyrs, and that we should be so thankful for how much they've done for this country that we should give them our money, our time, our energy. Everything they do is the antithesis of anything that comes out of their mouth, just like what I shared with MIT. It's a liberal model, right? They say one thing over here and they do something exactly the opposite, and who backs them? Mm-hmm. That's what you witness there. When he says heal the divide, what he really means, on the one hand, he's dividing people. It's a caste system. On the other hand, his heal the divide has nothing to do with the hardworking people versus the 0.01%. They want to actually cover up the divide. And they want to talk about the fact that when he is exposed, he says, see, everyone's being divisive. You see what I'm saying? It's very clever. Mm-hmm. It's much more clever than the obvious establishment. The obvious establishment is openly fascist. These guys are more clever. And that's what we need to recognize. Our movement is educating people. We're making people go from doves to becoming eagles, right? We come in here as nice, kind-hearted people, but we have to become really adept at understanding the nature of these people. He literally sends people, and there may be some people right here from Kennedy saying, you see what this says, Kelly? Declare your independence. You see that? And that's his whole slogan now. So everything he takes, he literally sends people to our movement. We had an event, and we've seen this twice. He had some spy come here, and we said, look, our movement is the tip of the spear of a global movement. My running is part of you. It's about you. He literally takes those words and does a video the next day. So they have people watching our movement very carefully. Please listen to this. They know a true revolutionary movement is going to come up, which is us. So they literally create the fake version of it. He is called up by the establishment to do that. That's his job, Kelly, as flytrap, to sucker people in and then sucker people up back to the establishment. And that's Trump's job too. Trump does a different business model. He may give, you know how they say, the freemium model. I give you free, then he gets all your email addresses, and he raised about $500 million off of our work. So regardless of what they are doing, we have to look at what they actually don't do. They have no interest in building a movement. The biggest thing we're educating people on, Kelly, is to get really smart, particularly leaders and warriors. Like, this is what they say and this is what they do. But more importantly, this is part of their system dynamic. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Bernie Sanders, that was his job. Trump was his job on the right. So each wing of the establishment has a way to sucker people in, so we don't build this bottoms-up movement. It's very well organized. They get paid for it. They make money off of it. A lot of people find it really weird that I actually spend 4 hours with people on Thursdays. Like, they don't understand that. You can look at where the leadership spends their time. Suresh is not getting paid 1 penny. Crystal doesn't get paid 1 penny. Okay. Now, we would like to bring in full-time staff. We may, but everyone here is doing it because they have a job, and this is something they do, Kelly. Those people, Children's Health Defense Fund, it's a multi-million-dollar organization that literally takes advantage, particularly of women, very wealthy women. So thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to also let you know, Suresh will introduce you to Maria in California and Jill
Oh,
Jones.
I've spoken to her. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Because
we'll be collecting signatures in April for you.
collect collecting signatures, getting a bumper sticker. One of the things we want to do is we want to see if we can get 1 million bumper stickers out there. To me, that's, if you want to think about it visually, 1 million people in the United States having bumper stickers, that would mean we would be hitting 100 billion views per day. Sorry, 100 trillion views per day. That's how many views we would be hitting, because one bumper sticker hits 100,000 views. They're not even thinking like this, Kelly. It's about how can I scam people, get money, no intention of really doing anything. And then when the campaign ends, all that money will get transferred to Children's Health Defense Fund. That's the plan. You should go read the New York Times. It'll tell you the entire scam he's running. Go ahead, Kelly, go ahead.
Sorry. Anyways, I thank you for being the only anti-Zionist candidate out there. And I think to me, that's the most important issue right now, because people's lives are in danger right now. So I think to me, that's the most important topic. So I'm thank you for everyone, your campaign, for being the only anti-Zionist.
What's also important to understand, Kelly, is that in the anti-Zionist movement, again, in every one of these movements, this is why I want people to go through the course and understand this dynamic. Whatever the movement's been, Kelly, when we had the anti-apartheid movement, the anti-Zionist movement, medical freedom, all of these movements, you can line them all up, hundreds of movements. You will always notice there's the obvious establishment and the fake guys. You follow what I'm saying? Their goal is that we don't build a powerful bottoms-up movement. So if you look at the true anti-Zionist movement, it always gets co-opted by the liberal Zionists. This is a lesson everyone needs to learn. 1981, when Ariel Sharon had butchered a bunch of Palestinians, you can go look it up. He literally took tanks into Gaza and literally ran over people. I organized one of the biggest protests at Brandeis University, which is predominantly a Jewish school. A lot of Zionists, not just Jews, but Jewish Zionists. And the liberal Zionists always try to take over these movements. They would put forward things like ceasefire now. You've heard that slogan, right? Ceasefire now, peace now. Those slogans have no meaning. They would never say end the occupation and end Zionism. This is very different. End Zionism means you are saying that the real issue here is Zionism, which is racism, which serves imperialism. Ceasefire now is a very hollow slogan, but it reflects the goal of this to just say, hey, we're Jewish Zionists. We feel so bad that this is happening. We don't want dirt on our hands. We don't want blood on our hands. You see what I'm saying? It's a liberal feel-good movement. I don't want to feel bad because I'm Jewish and I'm a Zionist that Zionists killed people. So ceasefire now. Let's back off. It's not saying end Zionism. Do you follow what I'm saying, Kelly? All of these young people would say, oh yeah, ceasefire now. They were only looking at the short-term thing. Then there would be a ceasefire and they'd say, oh my God, our protest won, ceasefire now. Aren't we great? And then 5 years later, Israel would go another step further. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. This is why I've been so direct on this, very hard hitting on this, because we need to educate people. This is what happens every 10 to 20 years. New people show up, obviously with righteous indignation. They want the right things. And the not so obvious establishment suckers them in the anti-apartheid movement that took place in the 80s. So there was, people said, oh yeah, apartheid is good. And then all these liberal hippies would say, it's so bad what's going on in South Africa. We should reform the government. Reform, okay? Not like this government needs to be overthrown. It's like completely corrupt. It's butchering people. It's enslaving them. And then there was us, you say? So what has historically happened, Kelly, is a not so obvious establishment is able to sucker people. They contain movements. They don't let them naturally go bottoms up, share their righteous indignation. You follow what I'm saying? They literally are put there to contain it. In the medical freedom movement, as a scientist, I got involved and I noticed Boobie F'ing Kennedy was against protests. When I organized a protest in New Jersey, all of it's, oh, this is not good. This is not good. We're going to upset the Democrats who are negotiating with the table bills. They're always doing backroom negotiations. They do not want us coming out their bottoms up because they can't control those movements. This is a lesson that we teach people. They want to control the movements. That's what they do. That is their job. So they don't get out of hand. You see what I'm saying? That's their job. So if you look at the Zionist movement, if you go to the real root of it, we need to end Zionism. We need to end occupation, but not only in Palestine. And this is what's critical, what we're talking about. We need to end the occupation of Zionism in the United States. We need to end Zionism right here because it is U.S. Zionism, 70 million Christian Zionists who are funding Israeli Jewish Zionism. So if you want to cut the head off the snake, it's got to start here. And it is these same Zionists who control the financial systems, the banking systems, Hollywood, all of it. Same thing with the anti-apartheid movement. And we were just emerging. We didn't have our movement. So we were fledgling. What we did, Kelly, we said, okay, all of you white liberals were so happy to talk about Black people being killed in South Africa. None of you will even take a walk down to Roxbury or Dorchester, which are predominantly Black communities. Or you won't talk about the fact there's segregation among the food service workers at MIT. So what we did, Kelly, we said was end apartheid from Boston to Soweto. You see what I'm saying? And we organize the food service workers to be part of the apartheid movement. If you don't do something right here, it's just, that's what liberals do. They talk about something 10,000 miles away because they want to feel good. That's why they call them bleeding heart liberals. It's not about ever substantially changing anything. So right now you can see what's happening. Hamas and Israel having a ceasefire. It's all theater. It's all theater. Hamas was created by Israel and the Qataris are negotiating that, right? Qatar is the one who's funding Hamas at the behest of Israel. So when you see Israel is having a truce with Hamas, just replace Hamas with Israel. Israel is having a truce with Israel. Now, what I've shared with you, our movement is the one that started leading that. And then other influencers, the good guys picked it up, if you notice, okay? But we're the tip of the spear. And the more people that we educate on this, who understand this dynamic, you could have a movement to, I don't know, save pets, movement to save avocados, movement, I don't know, anything, movement to save the bees. Whatever the movement is, there will be the obvious establishment who wants to keep things they are, and the obvious establishment creates the not so obvious establishment who they allow to get on media, who they make a bogus version of the actual what needs to be done. They get paid, they make money, and they contain the movement. This is the systems dynamic that once you get it, you realize why we need to build a bottoms-up movement, and we're totally independent. And to your point, I just want to share with people the video that in spite of them trying to contain it, Kelly, they didn't know what it contained, this, because they couldn't contain it. When I did that video, it was a pretty harsh video, and I actually did it as an interview. It went viral on its own, and they didn't know what to do with us. It was a video where I said, I'm the only presidential candidate who does not suck Zionist cock. And it's the absolute truth. But that video, they couldn't contain because it went naturally out there. I just want to play this to people because this is a spirit. This, what I articulated there is the spirit of this movement, which makes it very distinct from everything that they are about, right? Everything they're doing is massaging, making sure that things don't get out of hand. And by the way, if you guys see, this is a post a Kennedy supporter put up, Kelly. He thought we would lose this poll. Look at that poll. So if they actually gave us mainstream media attention, people are understanding is full of shit. So let me play this video again, because we will always speak the truth at the right time, not when it's convenient. And that's what marks our movement distinctly different than every one of these. So I love this video. And I think a lot of other people, I think it's got 40 million views or more. Let me play this if you haven't seen it. But I thank everyone who shared this video. Every presidential candidate except me sucks Zionist cock. That may not sound presidential, but in fact, it's very presidential because I represent the American worker who does not want us to be cocksuckers of Zionism. Donald Trump sucks Zionist cock. Nikki Haley sucks Zionist cock. Vivek the Snake sucks Zionist cock. Chris Christie, Boobie F'ing Kennedy, Joe Biden, all of these people. The only people that don't suck Zionist cock are the American workers who are being screwed. I'm an American worker. I'm one of us. But Donald Trump is no different than any one of them. They all serve Israel. Bernie Sanders, for example, is an Israeli citizen. Anthony Blinken is an Israeli citizen. The head of the CDC is an Israeli citizen. All of these people are Israeli citizens. All of these people work together against the American working people. There's a lot of liberal Zionists who are out there saying ceasefire, peace now. I've seen that for 40 years. It doesn't get us anywhere. All that ceasefire does is let Israel pull back, then go bomb the shit out of the Palestinians again. The only way to end this is we must end the occupation. Ending the occupation means beginning with ending the occupation of America by Zionism. Zionists have taken over every seat of power of the United States. If we're going to free Palestine, we must end the occupation of America by Zionism. If there's anyone who should get military aid, it should be the Palestinian people. I'm not talking about Hamas, by the way, all those morons who think Hamas represents the Palestinian people. Hamas was created by Israel. So when you see Hamas, replace it with Israel. We need to build a bottoms-up movement. Go to shivaforpresident.com and volunteer. Kelly, the reason I wanted to share that again, you see that analysis about how we see and what the solution is. You see how vastly different it is. That is a revolutionary position. It is saying, okay, you want to talk about Zionism? Because there's a lot of people saying I'm pro-Zionist, but I'm pro-Palestinian. That's like saying I'm pro-Nazi, but I'm pro-Jewish. They're very clever. And that cleverness is why the mass movements get contained by these people. They sucker people in and they will say, oh, Dr. Shiva, we need to ceasefire now. After we do that, then we can talk about the other issue. You ever heard that? It's a trick. And they always delay the mass movement. And they do this with every freaking issue, every issue. But the good news is we exist. In the 1980s, it was me and a few other people who were figuring this stuff out. But now in 2023, it took us 40 years. We have a movement. We educate people on this dynamic. We're educating leaders. And because we stand now as an independent force, they're fucked. They really are. It's just a matter of growing this now, growing the movement, letting very thoughtful people like yourself understand, oh, I got to really get this. Because if you don't get it, one day you'll follow Trump, another day Obama, another day Tulsi Gabbard. And all of these people, anyone who gets mainstream media attention is part of that swarm. The solutions they offer are to keep the swarm in power. They're not the real solutions. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. On every issue, on the vax, anti-vax, that's not the real discussion. The issue is, why don't we talk about the immune system? We have to boost the immune system. And then you start looking at all the things they've done to destroy people's immune system. It's not just a vaccine. It's the income inequality. You can go down a whole bunch of issues. It's the stress that daily people are on. So when you bring it down to the immune system versus some immediate issue, vax versus anti-vax, and they'll have many of these issues, right? That you go to the core of it and you give people solutions. That's what systems thinking does. Systems thinking lets you see it, identify what's called a root cause, and say, I'm going to go solve that. Fuck all this other bullshit, because you're trying to distract me. We mobilize a movement around those issues. By the way, all those issues are interconnected at the core. The immune system issue is directly connected to the anti-Zionist issue, because the Zionists are the ones who control the CDC. The head of the CDC happens to be an Israeli citizen. This is by no means something coincidental.
I think, I don't know if anyone's asked you this before, but would you be afraid of being on the hit list for the Mossad or the ADL?
So let me talk about that. Look, here's the issue. I say, fuck these guys. They think they're so strong. They think they're going to scare us. You have to understand something, that one individual can be taken out. So they can take me out. They took out Malcolm X, right? Mm-hmm. The problem is many of those revolutionary leaders in the past, names we don't even know, they didn't understand the dynamics of building a movement, Kelly. So this movement, what we're building is, I am just right now a catalyst, bringing this knowledge, but the idea is to have 10,000 of us leaders all over the world who then educate other people. That's called a self-organizing system. That's what we need to do. But the point is, if you've had your own experiences in life, and I was very fortunate, I've had my own experiences, and I'm not imposing this on anyone else, is that I've come to the conclusion that if you look at this physical world, it is not it. There's something way before and beyond all of this. And I've experienced that. The issue is, do we want to live as slaves? Life is very short on some level. Okay, maybe we can do stem cell therapy or anti-aging. We can live a little bit longer, which is great. And we should try to live long, healthy lives. But ultimately, what does it mean to live a life if you have all this knowledge and be a slave? And that is what MIT, Harvard, Yale, they're suckering all these really good people in, Kelly, very smart people. Their job is to make sure these very young people who are very smart get suckered in by this brand equity. Ooh, I got into Yale and Harvard. After dinner at that talk I did, I met with two of the kids, and they said 90% of the students at MIT are very depressed because their whole goal was to get into MIT or get into Harvard, but they have no goal after that. You see what I'm saying? So the elites try to sucker people into these establishments, and then deep down in their souls, they're not doing what they really want to do. To me, I've always done what I wanted to do. I'm absolutely a free human being on every level. So every day I go, it's freedom, right? So let's say someone takes me out. All of you guys now exist. We have a movement. We have infrastructure, right? That's hard to take out, Kelly. In the old days, they took out one person. Nowadays, they try to do with character assassination, but they don't even want to do that with me anymore because they don't want to give us any limelight, Kelly. So the goal is we have to build this movement so it's not reliant on any one individual. Any questions on that?
No, I don't have
You have to understand these people are evil. And then you come to the question of what is the purpose of life? And my view, the purpose of life is to fight evil, period. That is the purpose of life. So if you take that viewpoint, and I think every great spiritual culture, religion has talked about that. That was the ultimate goal of life, to liberate yourself. So if you come to that conclusion and you reflect on that, we should all be so grateful. Look at what we've created. We have a freaking movement now.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on voting until you came along. So I appreciate you coming in and creating this alternative.
But remember, Kelly, again, I always warn people, they control all the seats of power. My running for office in this superstructure that they've created, the only way someone like me could win, or you or people or working people who actually are honest, come from below, is with a movement. Without a movement, there's no chance. And they will cheat us at every point. But because we have a movement, when they cheat us now, everyone's going to get their battle scars. Oh, wow, I tried to raise signatures. I got all these signatures and they canceled 20% of my signatures or cheating. You see, everyone's going to learn in their bones how evil these people are. It's not going to just be, oh, I heard Dr.SHIVA say this, I get it. You will learn in your bones, you see? So our movement running for president at a time when the mainstream media is trying to seize people's brain, trying to just put a snake, Vivek the snake or Trump. If I didn't run, people say, oh, who are you going to vote for? Who should I vote for? But now we're giving people an alternative. And Kelly, we're also telling people, if we win, what would I do differently? Nothing. We would use a bully pulpit of the White House to do more of these. Instead of having 55 people on, we'll probably have 550 million people on. You see what I'm saying? Our goal in running for president is to mobilize a movement, but without the movement, someone like me could never get elected. But with the movement and getting people mobilized on the ground, everyone will have have this experience. Your consciousness not only comes from knowledge, but it comes from taking action and experience. So that's what we're giving people. When someone puts a bumper sticker on the back of their car, some fool's going to say, ooh, that guy is an anti-Zionist. He hates Israel. And now someone will be able to have a conversation with that person. You say, what do you mean? Let me educate you. You see what I'm saying? The actions are going to give people opportunities to have this amazing discourse, which if we didn't run, we wouldn't be able to do. Because we ran, we found all the stuff with the election systems. We found the backdoor portal in Twitter. They didn't expect an MIT engineering guy to use his brain power for the masses. They thought I'd use it to support their nonsense. So we have a huge opportunity. We should all be very grateful where we are. And I really appreciate, I'm very grateful, thankful for the questions you're asking and what you're sharing. Because it is this dialogue, Kelly, that's going to really educate people. Because it's sincere, it's honest. You went through your journey. Thank you.
Thank you.